Oh, and we are live this evening. But unlike most other evenings where we are predominantly discussing cricket, today is different, and we had a bit of a debate amongst ourselves. What is it that we should do? The ODI series has just gotten over. Most people would want to talk about that, but I think the journalist in us prevailed, and we decided no, we should do the biggest sports story of the day. We are Sports Today after all. And Harshit, what's the biggest sports story of the day?
It's actually been a story that's been snowballing over all these months. We've played it out on Sports Today as well. There's something with regards to it that happened yesterday, and there's a further development that's taken place today. And when the country's premier wrestlers end up taking that step of even returning one of the most prestigious sporting awards that the country can honor a sports person with, then that calls for a discussion. It calls for us to throw light on what's been happening, and which is why we're here trying to not just look at the whole situation but see where we're headed, let's say, as a sporting nation, and in particular what happens to wrestling now going forward.
Okay, so the latest update is, and if you're a fan of Indian sport, what I would want you all to do is think about it. We all get so excited when Asian Games come or Commonwealth Games come or Olympic game comes, and we start watching it, and when we start looking at Indian athletes, then we start seeing their performance. Sometimes we are happy, sometimes we are disappointed. But if you're happy or you're disappointed at that time, a lot of it is related to what happens when they are not competing at the Asian Games at the Olympic level, which is now. So whatever happens now is also important. Whatever happens to Indian sport, whether it's in terms of an athlete's training or it is in terms of sporting administration, all of that is important, because that is what plays a direct role in how Indian athletes perform at the game. So next time, if you're excited about Olympic Games and you want to see Indian athletes do well, then they don't do well and you say, oh, this is wrong, they are not good enough, then ask yourself a question: were you paying attention at the time when they were raising their hands and crying foul and saying that there is something wrong? Were you paying attention? Because if we pay attention now, only then can we get a chance to celebrate achievements of an athlete. So what's happened today, just to fill you in, is that yesterday, the only Indian female wrestler to win us an Olympic medal, Sakshi Malik, said, I'm quitting wrestling. She put her shoe down and hung up her boots quite literally and said, done, I'm not going to be participating. Today, Bajrang, another one of our stalwarts and Olympic medalists, has said that he's returning the Padma award that he's got from the Indian government. He was trying to reach the Prime Minister. He was stopped in that India Gate area at the Kartavya path. He was stopped, but he's anyway written a letter saying, please do not honor me. When you cannot look after us, the athletes, other time, then we do not want any of your honors. That's the latest that has happened. Just to give you a bit of a backgrounder, and we'll discuss that then. The backgrounder is that a lot of female wrestlers had complained about the Wrestling Federation of India chief Brij Bhushan Singh Saran, and said that there were POSCO charges against him, molestation, sexual harassment, all those charges against him, and they said he needs to be removed. Now they could not remove him directly, but then eventually he left on his own accord, said I'm leaving, but then fresh elections were to happen. That went on for some time. Fresh elections have happened on the 19th, and the person who's been elected is a business associate of Brij Bhushan Sharan. So while on the face of it, it looks like Brij Bhushan Sharan has stepped aside, the WFI chief, he's technically planted his proxy, or a person who is close to, he's planted him and kept him there. So wrestlers are upset that okay, the face may have changed, but backdoor, all the strings are going to be still with Brij Bhushan. He'll continue. So he's not been removed in that sense. And Brij Bhushan is also very, in that sense, quite blatantly showing off his power or his muscle power, where he's brazenly come out and carried that poster after the election, which said, Dabdaba tha aur dabdaba rahega. So it's now come down to this. Where do you stand on this, Harshit? What should be done?
It's, from the wrestler's point of view, you don't know what to do, because whatever's happened over here has happened well within the laws, has happened well within the system of this country. The wrestlers wanted elections to take place. The elections did happen. But what went wrong with the elections was the fact that, they didn't have control of the system, let's say, because the kind of clout, and what do we see as a result of these elections, let's say, that the clout of Brij Bhushan Charan Singh, who's already had multiple tenures as the president, his clout still remains. Now, you called him a business associate. He's also had ties with him in the past because he's had occupied positions, Sanjay Kumar Singh, in the wrestling body, though with the UP Wrestling Federation. He's been a secretary over there. And not just that, he himself has now come out and said, Brij Bhushan Charan Singh is like my elder brother. He said it this morning. So that tells you that clearly, you know, the very fact that he had 40 votes, if I'm not wrong, yesterday, as against only 5 votes which the other candidate got, that tells you about the presence that Brij Bhushan Charan Singh has and will probably continue to have, as he says, dabdaba bana hai rahega, and whatever it is. As wrestlers, you don't know how you fight this whole system. Now, they had asked for a complete revamp and an overhaul. That didn't happen. The ad hoc committee had clearly said, see, that's not happening. You cannot ask for an entire federation overhaul. Yes, we can hold elections and all. We can have new positions, as you say, since you've leveled these allegations, which haven't been proven yet, I agree. But he's still been charged with POSCO. So, you take those charges very seriously to begin with.
No, but he's not there now. See, technically he's not there.
He's not there.
So, my point is, wrestlers, first question is, should wrestlers be retiring, giving up? Because they are going to the government saying you need to fix it. But what can the government do in this scenario? Can they do?
See, the wrestlers are doing everything that one can do in terms of staging an agitation in a democracy. They've done everything that our democracy allows, every non-violent way in which we're all allowed to.
Slightly violent also sometimes, when they came to almost blow with the cops and all of that.
When they were blocked off and whatnot. Besides that, I think it's been largely non-violent, this whole agitation. So that's the one thing about it. The other thing being, now what do the wrestlers do? At the moment, we've heard from the wrestlers, even they don't know what to do any further.
What can the government do?
They tried immersing their medals also, I remember. They've tried staging a protest. They called for hunger strikes, and they were all here in Jantar Mantar. This whole thing, which was just supposed to be sport, became political also at times. We saw there were farmer associations also that had shown support and whatnot. The wrestlers at the moment, and that's the nature, and that tells you so much about India as not just a democracy, but let's say India, the way we function, the red tape, the robust systems in which we are still sort of stuck in. It tells you that you really cannot break all the shackles.
No, yes, I want to know, wrestlers have done everything.
The democratic way
Can the government do anything? That's my point. Why wrestlers are upset that why are you not? I want to know, what can the government do? Can they do something?
See, the one thing, and that's again the government. You can't really have somebody not. You couldn't have stopped, let's say, prior to the elections that okay, just because Sanjay Kumar Singh is an associate, he doesn't even get to have his candidature there. That couldn't have happened, which is one thing that again I understand where the wrestlers were coming from, that we can't have anybody who has had any sort of association.
No, but how? I want to know, how can the government do that? Can the government do something? Can they stop Sanjay Kumar Singh knowing that he is
I think the first thing that the government should have done and didn't do was the fact that they didn't look into the matter with the kind of seriousness that it deserved, because till now there has been no sort of interrogation, or there's been no sort of probe against Brij Bhushan Charan Singh. POSCO charges, he is by the way a rarest of the rare case, I would say, that somebody charged with POXO, an MP of the
I want to know, have BJP suspended him?
No.
Okay, irrespective of whether they've suspended him or not, I want to know as of now, can the government do anything? I want to know, can they do it? Could they have done something which they've not done?
See, if I definitely, yes, there were multiple rounds of meetings and all. There were 2 committees also that were formed.
Can they do something?
I think they definitely could have firstly addressed the whole situation with a little more sensitivity.
How? What?
Again, I don't think there was.
How would being sensitive to this help? How?
You had to, because there was not 1, not 2, not 3, there were 7 wrestlers, including a minor who had.
I agree with all that. How would they have done it? What should they have done? Can they do? My point is, the wrestlers are complaining, which is fair. They have all the right. You said democratic, right? They can do. They've done in the past. They're doing now. I agree. But what is it that they expect when they are going to a prime minister or returning an award and saying I'll quit wrestling? What is it that they expect from the government to do? The government cannot do anything. The point is that You are upset. You don't want the government. They cannot do anything. They cannot.
There can be a probe.
There can be a probe. Probe of what? They can probe Brij Bhushan Sharan, right? But the point is, Brij Bhushan Sharan is not there. It's technically, let me give you an example. If there is a business happening, right? And I am the elder brother, you're my younger brother, okay? You are not involved in this business that I did. And I did some business, or let's say you were involved also in the business. I did some ghapla in that business, made some money, whatever. And the shareholders came, they found out that thing blew up. So then the case will be registered against me because they found out I did it. If I was doing it without telling you or anyone, right? Technically, even though you may be my brother and associate with the company, they cannot do anything to you. Till they find your hand in helping me or some sort of new of it or whatever. So long as there is nothing there, you can continue to function in that company and carry that company forward. The problem will be mine to deal with, right? Because I made some ghapla in the account and made money and took that money and went away. Same I'm saying, Brij Bhushan Sharan, let's assume, right now the case is on, let's assume he is guilty. Okay, by the way, just to let you know, just a bit of his background. Here, he is a man who slapped a wrestler on stage. He is a man who has slapped a wrestler on stage. If I'm not mistaken, there were murder charges also against him. I don't know what came of that or whatever. No, he's on record saying on camera that I have murdered a person or something, if I'm not mistaken.
There was a tape or
on camera he said that. And he's on camera slapping a wrestler during a local wrestling competition. So to expect him to be, this paragon of virtue of this one guy who's, righteous, above everything and going to do the right thing, I don't think that's going to be true. So for this matter, I'm siding with the wrestlers. And if so many girls are saying, and there's a POSCO case that is going on, let's assume he is the guilty party, right? So what could the government have done? Ensured that he does not fight that election or whatever that they did. Now, as I said, from an extension, if his friend was to stand for election, technically, even the government can't do anything.
See, maybe
they cannot do anything.
It's going to be a bit of a stretch, and in overall practical purposes, it wouldn't have been the most viable thing for them to do. But maybe have run extensive background checks, like you review applications.
Assuming they ran background check and they found that he is his friend, also not guy of great character. What can the government do?
But maybe then again, if the government wants to, I believe the government, the day that it decides to do something, it would have been difficult because that would have required changes to the constitution of the wrestling federation.
It cannot be. Things cannot. How does the constitution of a wrestling federation change? You got to understand the function.
Exactly.
It cannot be changed by the government. It has to be done. All of these associations work under the Olympic Charter.
Yeah.
They cannot. The government. What I'm trying to say. I'll give you an example. Let's assume, as I said, technically Brij Bhushan Sharan is the guilty party, is the wrong person. Throw him out. I'm with you. Throw him out. Stand with the wrestlers. Throw him out. No place for such corrupt administrators or the ones that are troubling our athletes. Throw him out. Now he's nominated somebody else who's fighting a proxy thing. Technically you can't do anything because in a democracy that Sanjay Singh can say, you cannot take away my right to stand up for something just because of my association with that fellow. If I was also charged for similar cases, that's another thing. I'm not. Sanjay Singh can say. So your constitution allows that. Secondly, let's for one matter go with that thing that the government flexes its muscle and says, no, we are going to exceed our brief. We're going to exceed our jurisdiction and go beyond this. We know that he is his friend, and through that background, from behind the scenes, he will control all the strings, and Brij Bhushan will run it. So I do a veto power, a unanimous decision as a sports minister. I decide that you will not be able to contest the election. You know what happens? As soon as the government does that, the wrestling federation, which is already banned, continues to stay banned. What that does is your wrestlers go to the Olympics, which are not too far away now, will be in Paris Games, and wrestling is one of our major sports. Your wrestlers will go without an India flag. So let's say Bajrang, if he is fighting, he will fight under a neutral flag, athletics country. There is this flag that they fight for, which is the athletes
neutral flag.
Yeah, the athletes flag. So imagine a Bajrang wins a medal, he's standing on the podium and goes the flag up of the neutral countries, the athletes flag. Do you be happy? That's even a worse scenario. You cannot do that. Government interference, and it's happened with Indian sport before. It's happened with the IOA. It has happened with the All India Football Federation very recently.
So I was coming
so
to
you can't do anything.
AIFF I was coming to again. There's been an association and there's been an involvement of a politically strong person in the AIFF as well. And we saw while his tenure was also getting over, see, he didn't want to go as well. But what happened? AIFF also had to stand that suspension. And what happened as a result? Again, as we know, multiple reports, and we all know about the fact that how his clout still remains, and that perhaps is the nature of the. And this tells you how the system in our country is. We've seen it across to sports now.
So that's what I'm asking. Could the government, now I'm going back to the athletes. The athletes are upset. One is saying I'm retiring. One is saying that I'm giving my Padma award to the Prime Minister. What can the government do? My point to the athletes is exactly this. Nothing will change. You cannot change it. That's how it is. Now, the only way I can see, the only thing that I see a government doing, which they can do if they really want to set the things right. Technically, they cannot take the right away of a Sanjay Singh competing. But what they can do is, and I for one believe that, today we call BJP, which is the party that's, at the center, as an election machine, we call them, right? We say that they have mastered the art of organizing and conducting elections and winning elections, which is great, right? So the organization is strong. That's what is their strength. And many people look at that as their strength. My point is, a party that can win such a large state election consistently, can win national elections consistently, they are being considered an election machine. How can they not find a way to get a clean candidate who is not attached in any way to a Brij Bhushan Sharan, participate in election and win that election? I'm just saying, no, you're so good in organizing, in playing your cards so correctly that you win consistently state elections as well as national elections. Why can't you do that? I'll give you the All India Football.
WFI, na?
That's what I'm saying. But why can't you? Look at All India Football Federation. Kalyan Chaubey, who's now become the president, is associated with the BJP, right? The problem with the AIFF was that you had, for a very long time, Praful Patel looking after, and you wanted to remove him, you wanted to set it right. So you needed to look for a candidate, you look for an athlete, because he's played for India, and you looked at a guy with a clean image as of now. But you could not straight away put him there. He had to fight elections and win. He fought elections and he won. So how did that happen? My point is, in the government you have such influential people that can ensure. How does Brij Bhushan Sharan, who's the WFI chief, keep winning election? Because of influence, na?
Yeah.
Because he has muscle power, he is a Bahubali, everyone knows that. Yeah. Because he has money power, just to let you in on a few stories about Brij Bhushan, people would like to know what kind of a guy he is. He's so rich, he owns so many schools and colleges. He has about 20 to 30 cars in his house where he stays. Which area is he from?
MP, I'm forgetting.
No, UP. I forget the name of the place.
No, he's an MP. I'm just trying to recall the constituency.
Yeah. So there, and I know of people, of reporters who've been there, he has a estate, a massive estate with multiple cars. Do you know he has a petrol pump inside his estate for his own cars only? So that petrol pump is not for Harshit or Nikhil, we can drive our car and fill up. That is his private petrol pump, which is also not a private petrol pump for Kaisarganj, not a private petrol pump for other people, for his own fleet of cars that he has. That's how rich he is. There will be like Maybach and all these top levels, cars which you will see. So he's a mighty rich guy. So how does he win an election? It's an ego fight, right? So you chucked him out because of those charges. He said, okay, I'll put my man in. So what do you have to do? There are state associations, 20, 22, whatever state association, they vote. My point is, today, the only thing that the government can do, they cannot have direct government interference, but can surely put up a candidate. Today, if they got a person of repute, just as they did with All India Football Federation, a former player, without any questions over his integrity or his reputation, if you could put that sort of a guy, whether he's a former wrestler, if not a wrestler, an administrator, you put him there and you tell your state how many states you are in power. Whoever is the guy who has to go for that state, he will have to cast a vote, na? If you tell those people, if a sports minister or someone gets involved at that level and ensures, because they are sitting at such high position, if they get involved in that situation and tell them that do it, I'm sure you can get the right person elected. That's what they can do without government interference. And I think that is something that the players should push for. This will never be done overtly. It has to be done behind the scene. But if you really want to clean up a system, and if the powers that be are really wanting to clean the system, they have to do it. Because anyone can ask that if you can win such big elections, surely you can get WFI elections won. You can. And I think that is where I would want the government to concentrate.
I know, at some point I feel that, maybe the government, in terms of whatever aid that they could have given to the wrestlers over here, or maybe, I don't know if the court also could have taken some amount of cognizance of this whole matter. I think things would have changed or could have changed. And at the moment, my heart just goes out to the wrestlers. I've got nothing, in terms of, because again, they tried taking every possible democratic route to, wriggle out of this whole situation, but they were blocked at every single point, I feel. And again, for this whole agitation to see one of Brij Bhushan's men, again, it's all happened in the system. I'm not saying that the ballots were rigged or anything like that, or nothing like that. Fair election, but hard done by the wrestlers. Hard done by.
I'd love to read a few comments. Let's listen into what our folks have to say about it. Again, I remind you guys, I know we all enjoy cricket and various other sports. That's great, but we need to pay attention to this story if we really want to back our athletes. Okay, let's go. From the top, okay, let's start. Sachin says arrest Brij Bhushan. Just to let you in on that also, Sachin, there are charges against him and you'll have to follow the due process. Yeah. Only then you can charge or arrest him. So Rudra says that Sakshi supports just Congress party, which is not true, by the way. That's the problem, right? We are looking at through the lens of Congress, BJP. It's not that.
Yeah.
A lot of these wrestlers were, I'll tell you honestly, were pro BJP. They've all turned now anti because they feel that they've not been, given what they are. I don't say that that's correct or that's wrong. My point of the matter is it's not about Congress or BJP. There were issues when Congress were there also in Sporting Federation. There are issues now also when BJP is there. There were good things that happened when Congress was also there in Sporting Federation. There are also good things happening now when BJP is there. I say it having covered these federations in under different regimes. So that is the truth. I think you need to pay attention to what the athletes say. Gopal Yadav says it's high time we should take a stand. Completely agree. That's exactly what I think we need to do. Sushil Chawda says this is horrible. It indeed is. And that's why I would want you to pay attention to this story. If we as viewers don't pay attention to it and as sports lover don't pay attention to it, don't talk about it enough, it will never get highlighted. We can't just have attention and looking at a sport during Olympic Games. Then only we'll come out, take out Indian flag, Jito, medal. See now, 2 years ago when the wrestlers were complaining, where were you? Gopal Yadav says wrestlers are our heroes. They should get the best system to achieve best results. I agree. Politics ne sports ko destroy kiya, somebody says. Just go up. Kaushik Arun Giri is saying, Sakshi Malik is an Olympian. She is an icon in her sport. Look at her plight and what she is going through against people in power. Now imagine the predicament of an ordinary Indian woman. Brilliantly put. Kaushik, brilliantly put. These are women who are known, who when they do a press conference, we go and cover and we highlight and we discuss. Imagine so many will never be discussed. That is the truth. Okay, let's go down. Gaurav Bhatia says, guys, you can't expect them to be 100% brutally honest. They have to save their jobs as well. They come under the group and that's why they are called this. But are we not being honest? Like, did you say anything that was dishonest?
I don't remember saying anything dishonest or actually incorrect.
Anyway, I think we've been as honest as we can. Would love to know your thoughts. Gaurav doesn't think so.
Well, this is why I tried making the same point again and again and it's going on and on and on.
Okay. Mahendra Pratap says, see, government can't do anything. You will have to go to court. That's the thing. You look at in the BCCI situation also, I covered that extensively. You reached a point where the government also wanting to do something could not. You had to go to the courts and get things solved. Because see, as soon as the government tries to, force something there, the World Wrestling Federation is going to debar you. Pranav Naik says the government did not even conduct a fair committee trial. That's very interesting actually. Because the trial that happened also did not really stand by the athletes, and a lot of athletes were part of that setup that they'd done. There were two separate ones, one set up by the IOA and one set up by the Indian government.
With the...
Sorry, Akbar is pointing out, he is from Gonda, MP from Gonda. Correct.
Okay.
Yes, that's correct. That's the place. Yep. Okay, let's go.
I was saying that, but there were problem with the two committees as well, no? Because one of the members was again both the committees, and the wrestlers had an issue with that as well. There was,
they did.
There was Mary Com, I think, was part of both the committees, and then you had I think Mary Com was part of both the committees, and the wrestlers didn't like that either.
Okay, a few questions. Gopal is saying, wasting the time. Gopal, move on, man. Do something else. Why are you on the live thing? If it's not worthwhile your time, why are you here?
Tons of other channels out there.
Yeah, you could go listen to a nice cricket discussion. Manik Biswa says, at least, we've taken up this issue. So thank you for that, Manik. That's that on this. It's a short discussion we had today on this issue, but we thought it was very necessary to talk about it. We've shared our thoughts, all the insights that we had, giving you a bit of a background, what the government could do, what they can't. But this is a story that we need to follow. This is a story that needs all our attention because, as I said, few months down the line, there'll be Olympic Games. And if your wrestlers don't win any medals, you know why. If you enjoyed our discussion, do give us a like, share it with your friends. For the moment, bye-bye from Harshit and I. Take care, have a good weekend. See you soon. Vanakkam, Nandri, whatever else.
You know that by now.